So, Jon, Argentina were one of the favourites coming to this tournament, and they have won every game in the competition so far, but they've made hard work of it. What have you made of them so far?
So on the board here, I've got them set up as they were set up against Egypt, and you can see in the midfield areas just lots of very sort of technical midfielders, most of whom you would expect to be centre midfielders, right? So you've got Alexis McAllister here, you've got Rodrigo de Paul, Enzo Fernandez, Messi, Alvarez. These are all guys who are going to play in the centre of the field. And we talked a lot about how the way that they approach trying to break down a block is quite different from a lot of other teams where they try and stretch the block apart. So they might have width holders who can pull the fullbacks out, and then you're trying to stretch and create these tensions all the way across the pitch. Argentina are doing it in a very different way. They're going to try and punch their way through by overloading the channels around the ball carrier. So with Lisandro Martinez in this channel here, you'll see often the Argentina players just overloading in that channel, with the idea being that they can actually bop the ball through the lines really quickly with one-touch passing often. We talked a lot about body positioning and having players who are faced to receive the ball, but also players ready to go forward so you can play third-man combinations. And this has been the staple of the way that they've played under Lionel Scaloni. But what we've started seeing is, I think, teams finding ways of causing problems for this approach. So Egypt, I think, was a great example of that, because what we saw from Egypt was they were just accepting, okay, we're going to try and overload in the centre as well. We're just going to block out space in the middle. We can have a really nice, compact, deep-ish 4-4-2 block like this. And suddenly what you're doing then is you're removing all of that space and making it even harder for Argentina to play the ball through the lines. Now, the obvious thing to do there is to say, well, can you not cause problems by using that width? But in this instance, we've got Argentina using fullbacks, Tagliafico and Molina as those fullbacks. And because these guys are fullbacks rather than wingers, actually Egypt were quite happy to let them have a relative amount of space, even if they went quite high. If they went high and the ball went around, then the other side of fullback would drop in and the rest of the team would cover for that. And they could do that because they know that they're probably not going to get turned out by a fullback. The other thing I think we should talk about is that, and it's been something that a lot of people have mentioned this tournament, is that Argentina don't have a huge amount of runners in behind as well. So again, we've talked about stretching the block horizontally. If you have runners in behind as well, you can stretch them vertically. Also, Egypt happy to sit quite deep and then hit on the break as well. So all of this goes to show that actually, if you approach Argentina and stop them from doing the thing that they're set up to do, you can cause them all kinds of problems. So we saw it Cape Verde, we saw it Egypt causing these sorts of problems.
But everyone who's seen these games, despite their struggles, will know they did go on to win them. So what did they do that actually helped them get the victories?
Well, they did precisely the things that we're talking about here that they weren't doing in the first parts of these games. So we actually saw the substitution of Nico Gonzalez on in the wide area. Not only can he operate in those wide areas against a fullback, go around him, he can also run in behind and create danger in that way as well. Again, in this game, we saw Lautaro Martinez come on, and actually we saw Lionel Messi moving out into the wide area as well. So what we got then was a situation where, I think I've got too many players on the field now.
That would really help Argentina if they could have 12 players.
Yeah, exactly. So we had Messi operating in the wide area. So you've got then that combination of stretching the width, causing problems for their block, and also a player like Lautaro Martinez who can, operate as a bit more of a runner in behind as well. And both of these things led to actually all three of the goals in some way or other. So this is from the first half, and we've got Egypt in that shape that I talked to you about there, this sort of fairly compact block with the fullback here able to get across to the opposition fullback if they need to, and as a result they're just able to sort of block out the middle, make it very hard for Argentina to have any kind of advantage here. This is in the second half, so this is after we brought on Nico Gonzalez, so after the 66th minute, and now we've got Messi in that wide area, and as you can see, the opposition having their back line stretched a little bit more. Rather than just having the four players in their back line, they've now added the wide players alongside. In part, that's because they're 2-0 up at this point, so they're doing very natural things to try and defend that lead. But again, you can see that they have the advantage now of having Messi in the wide area, Nico Gonzalez in the wide area, and as a result, they're going to generate chances from here. In fact, the first goal comes from Messi receiving that ball, playing it into Christian Romero, and he gets the header. So the first goal directly coming from the fact that Argentina have a very different profile of player in that wide area. Second goal comes from a very similar situation, right? With Messi on the ball in the wide area, playing the ball into a chaotic scenario. We've got Nico Gonzalez making a back post run here. Again, you can see that Egypt are very compacted, they're deep in their own box, and as a result of this, it actually opens out space in the box for Messi to arrive late. He plays the ball in, the ball bounces around a little bit, it's played back to him, and then he scores the second goal. ball. And then finally, we now have a situation where they can hit the opposition on a counter. So Lautaro Martinez making a long busting run. And Enzo Fernandez as well, actually, who is a bit of a box crasher. But in this situation now, with Egypt really pushing to try and get their goal before the end, we have this scenario where actually Argentina are able to generate a transition moment with Lautaro Martinez making the run on one side, Enzo Fernandez making the run along the other, and just having a huge amount of space. They're basically attacking with two players in this instance. The ball comes in, and as we know, Enzo Fernandez heads in. So the lesson to take away from this, I think, is that yes, Argentina have this really unique way of playing. Teams are actually finding ways of causing them problems, especially, as you said, smaller teams where they're willing to just sit in a block and be compact and try and hit on the break. And Argentina are having to find ways of solving those problems. And the way that they're doing that is doing things that they're maybe not necessarily set up for, ideally. But that's the reality of tournament football. You have to find solutions. And Argentina is still in the competition. It's looked like they could potentially go out on a couple of occasions now. They're still here. They still have those solutions. And for me, that's what good coaching is all about. It's about being able to find these solutions, despite the fact that maybe you're doing things that feel a little unideal compared to what your squad might look like.
So for all the talk of Lionel Messi's brilliance, and rightly so, in this tournament, it's also hats off to Scaloni for using him in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely, I think so. And you can make the same criticisms of Lionel Messi that you can make of Cristiano Ronaldo out of possession. The difference is that Messi finds ways of working in possession to justify maybe the out of possession side of things. So in this game as well, the ability to move Messi into the wide area and use him there, have him, box crashing essentially into that space, was the reason why they got the equalising goal. So yeah, again, you can have all the best players in the world. If you're not using them correctly or in a way to get the most out of them, then you probably won't go very far.
So what I'm hearing you say is England are going to win the World Cup.
That's exactly what I said, yeah.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Amy Lawrence and James Horncastle. With the latest transfer news and insights on every Premier League story that matters, theathletic.com puts you inside football, and you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.